Today I'm taking a look at the replica Ops Core Maritime from FMA. It's coming up. So a few months back, guys over at Helmet World sent me over this replica Maritime helmet. I was after a replacement for my Mish, well, something to work alongside my Mish. For the training days I help out with Just Cause Airsoft and Ambush Adventures. Because we run sword ends on those because of the bangs, they're a little bit uncomfortable underneath my Mish helmet because they've got those lower sides. So they sent this over for me to have a look at and sort of use, test it out, and I've been running it for the last couple of months now, and I've got to say I'm thoroughly impressed with it. As I said, it's the FMA Ops Core Maritime. Comes in at about £58 from Helmet World, and it's a pretty good helmet. Features wise, standard NVG shroud on the front. As I've found with most NVG shrouds, the lip on the front is slightly too big for certain mounting brackets, so you do need to shave that down with a sharp knife. I used just a sharp kitchen knife to scrape away the front of that, and it allows me to get my GoPro mount inside. In terms of rails, standard rails on the side, and your clips, and comes with various blocks and a couple of other bits to stick in there, as you expect with most helmets. Velcro comes for your top strobes and patches, and obviously rear Velcro patch for your counterweight pouch for NVGs, or in my case I run my Anchor battery pack for my GoPro. In terms of the thickness of the shell, it's not quite as thick as it would be. It's definitely a lot thinner than a real Kevlar helmet, but it's not noticeable. It doesn't look like a thin, flimsy helmet. Sturdy, you know, it's strong, it isn't flimsy, and it does the job. Dimensions wise, these are slightly bigger than a real maritime helmet, so in terms of helmet covers, they are a bit of a stretch to get over the top, but a little bit of fiddling, a bit of working, and you can get them on no problem. In terms of straps and comfort pads on the inside, you'll notice here I've got slightly different. If you've looked at any of these maritime helmets from FMA, you'll notice they come with a different system, come with the ratchet system. I've taken it out because of my big head. They're slightly too tight, you know, it's too tight, and it's uncomfortable for me. I've got just over 61 centimeter head, so if you're below that, they're going to be fine. The guy I spoke to at Helmet World, you know, he said his head is 61 centimeters and it fits nice and snugly. Mine's slightly over, and it was just slightly too tight for me. So the pads I've got in here are just standard sort of soft comfort pads you get. I'll go over those in a second. You get a couple of different types of those. What normally should come in this is this sort of system here. And the reason why it was too tight is simply because it utilizes thick polystyrene there to create the protection, the head protection, on some of the impact zones. But that takes up too much space because of the size of my head. So a little bit too tight. Now this system is very good. Yeah, it's got nice padding, Velcro padding onto the inside, very soft around the head area, the circumference of the head. But as I said, for my head, just slightly too tight. The ratchet system at the back here, it's a dial wheel. You basically screw it in to tighten the whole circumference system, or you loosen it off to widen it. It means you can get a really good, nice, snug fit. And the system's very good. It's very sturdy, and it's a rubberized wheel on here. It's not a flimsy plastic wheel that some of the other replicas have got. So it's rubberized, very nice, and easy to adjust. In terms of other pads, what they come with are these polystyrene backed foam pads. Now the foam on here is very thin and the polystyrene is quite thick. If your head isn't too big for the helmet, as in my case, these are actually very comfortable. I've used these in a real helmet a little while back, and the real helmets go a little bit bigger than the replicas, and these weren't a problem, but because of the size of my head, that was just compressing too much. They were just too tight, so I took those out. Guys at Just Cause gave me these, which are very, very soft padding system, and I've got a mixture of the soft pads and the medium sort of pads. This is out of my mesh, and so these are very kind of medium foam, nice and solid, but they will compress. And then I've got a mixture of those, so I've got the sort of stiffer pad at the front there, and then sides and the top are all the softer pads. Standard yoke, I took off my mesh. Again, as you'd expect, standard H-nape there, comes from the mesh. The chin strap system they've got on here, again, it's pretty much exactly the same, and it's got a nice sort of suede line into the chin strap area. In terms of price, as I said, 58 quid this. Pads and that, Just Cause do these sort of softer pads for about £15, and then Helmet World do the harder pads for, again, £15–17. The helmet's about £58. But as I said, if you've got a smaller head, smaller than 61 or just over 61 centimeters, then you're not going to need to replace the pads. The pads that come will be adequate for you. They will be comfy, and that's it. Build wise, good, very good from FMA. They do run a more expensive helmet, which comes in at about £80 to £90, and that is a carbon shell, and I think the dimensions are slightly more realistic. So in terms of helmet covers, you should have an easier time getting those helmet covers on. But again, a bit of fiddling and you can get the helmet covers on here, no problem. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the FMA series of helmets. Do you run them yourselves? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Personally, I'm very, very impressed with this, and obviously I've got an Emerson already, but this is, I like this. It's nice and solid, fits very nicely with my sword-ins. There's no interference there, it's very comfy, and it's balanced well when I've got my GoPro on there and the pack on the back. It works quite nicely. If it's your first time to my channel, I'd love to have you subscribe. I do really appreciate every single one of you guys that hits that subscribe button. So if you like what you see, please do hit the subscribe. And that's it for this week. As always, I'll see you next time.